what we have heard and what we know is that this can be a difficult field to enter. Lauren Stockwell, let's start unpeeling this, unpacking this. Why is it hard to get into the field of clinical research?
Our industry is very risk averse in general because we do need people who are so detail oriented, who are strong communicators, who can really get down in the nitty gritty, but also see the big picture at the exact same time. And that's a really hard thing to be able to do. And then when you get into an interview, and they start asking you about AEs and SAEs and ICFs and feasibilities and recruitment strategies. And all of a sudden you're like, are you even what
What?
language are you speaking? What is this? What's happening? It's very easy to get overwhelmed because it's like speaking a brand new language.
Mhm.
I'm sure many of you out there are multilingual. Clinical research might as well be classified as its own language. And a lot of the barrier to getting in is speaking the language, putting the interviewer at ease to say, okay, you're not going to completely put my patients, my participants here at risk. We can trust you. We can know that you're teachable because you've already taken the initiative to start learning that initial language. And once you really have that foundation of language, it's much easier to master all the different skill sets that you need to thrive in this environment.
So you're speaking a different language. And I think we know that in medicine. Sometimes I've been to the doctor and they talk about the anterior dorsal, sublingual. They use terminology that I'm just not familiar with. I remember in Latin, we learned those words, but so the language we use in clinical research is pretty specific to clinical research. We use terms like GDP and IB and IP, and you need to be able to communicate that way to get in the field. So the language is important. You talked about risk, and I'm going to share this slide because there's this question, why is it so difficult to enter the field? And if you look at it, I think what we've been talking about here is one, this is a specialty. We are putting new devices or medicines in people. That can be a little scary, right? We're testing, it's experimental. So we really have to know what we're doing. And this is all under the FDA, IRB, under pretty serious regulations and supervision. It's a specialty of healthcare, so you have to know that language, and it is a different language. These are 3 reasons why when you apply to a job and you send in a resume, I don't know, sometimes they don't even look at it, but this is what is happening. And so how do people get in? We work with our students all the time. What is the secret sauce? Let's talk about what we are doing to help people get in.
You can go out there and you can build relationships on your own, certainly, but I'll challenge you with a kind of a simple analogy to think back. What's your favorite pizza place? Where do you go? Where do you get pizza from? Where do you order pizza from? Where you like, that is the best pizza in the world? Now, if I came to your town, I saw someone was in Tupelo, Mississippi. If I came to Tupelo and I visited you and I said, oh, I want to really order a pizza, and I went to Google and it gave me 100 different pizza places, I would be overwhelmed. I wouldn't know, where to order pizza from. But if I went to our friend out there in Tupelo and I said, where do you order pizza from? And they said, oh, Joe's House of Pizza. It's the best pizza. It's so phenomenal. Chances are I'm going to order Joe's instead of scrolling through those hundreds of Google search results, right? And so that's kind of what we really try to do, because when you can kind of come in as that internal referral, as that resume suggested by someone who knows the company, to say, hey, we really recommend, Ron for this job. We recommend Susie for this job. The hiring managers don't have to go through 100, 200 resumes anymore, because all of a sudden Susie or Joe is at the top of the stack. Just like I'm going to order pizza from Joe's House of Pizza there in Tupelo, Mississippi.
We talked about speaking the language, but really that takes practice and training. Lauren Bellina Chang, can you talk a little bit about the training that is required, that's now expected? What is the industry expecting?
The very lowest level of expectation here is that you have a good clinical practice certificate. And, our training is what's called Transcellerate approved. There's kind of this approval body that says, yes, this training will get you that good clinical practice certificate. And really, what that means is that you understand how to respect your participants to protect their rights, safety, and well being, and also that you understand data integrity. And that's really what the entirety of clinical research boils down to is respecting the rights of the participant and collecting good, clean, quality data. And so, at the very least, you have to demonstrate some proactive approach to understanding those concepts. And then your interviewer is going to dig a little deeper. Well, how would you identify an AE and differentiate that from an SAE, and what would be your reporting steps? And all of a sudden, if you're not trained in that, you're very overwhelmed. You don't know what to do because you don't even know what they're asking about. And you're like, oh, I don't know. I'd tell someone about it. Okay, well, that's not technical enough because that's really getting at that safety aspect again of what we're talking about when it comes to research and data collection and protecting our participants. So you really first, it's one thing to represent it on your resume, but then you have to be able to interact with the information at a higher level. And I would say it's yes, anyone, I think. I do think that most people in the world could learn clinical research. It's not rocket science. And I don't know, maybe rocket science isn't even that hard. I don't know. Sounds like it's hard though. But mastering those concepts isn't difficult. I think where it can get really tricky and what your interviewers are going to want to see is, can you be resourceful when the protocol, which are directions for how to collect that data, how to run each visit to collect that good, clean, credible data, when that's not clear, what do you do in those moments? And it comes down to learning and knowing your resources so that you can react appropriately in that dynamic environment.